Testing. We good?
All right, can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear us? All right, we're back in business.
So we'll move on to public comment. Looks like there are no members of the public here for public comment. Peter Barnes, online, Peter Barnes, okay.
No comment.
No comment. Is there anybody else online, Miss Evie?
Yeah, we have Victor Hernandez from Rosalici Ochoa Bogue's office.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I just wanted to provide a brief legislative update on behalf of the senator. She's just now fully introduced her 2024 legislative package, and here are the bills that we feel would be of interest to some of the community members. She has introduced SB 943, which is a bill that would waive the bachelor's degree requirement for certain veterans who served at the E6 ranking or higher for more than 2 years. We have SB 1108, which is a 90-day extension to prevent mobile home evictions. We have SB 1175, which is a waiver reform for SB 1383, that's for the trash collection. It'll be asking Cal Recycle to next to census tracts when deciding boundaries of the first that's eligible for a waiver for the SB 1383 requirements. We have SB 1186, which would allow a pathway for any state, county, district, or citrus group fair to charters for military personnel who are out of uniform. SB 1245 is a proposal to streamline the IHSS paramedical forms. SB 1429 is ADA reimbursement for snowstorms so that the school districts wouldn't have to lose out on any funds when there's natural disaster occurring. And these two last bills are part of what's called the California Public Safety Package. It's a bipartisan bills that would help clamp down on just some of the crime issues that we're dealing with here in California. Our bills in particular are actually related to fentanyl. So SB 1442 is fentanyl test strips that would allow the Department of Health and Human Services in California to develop fentanyl test strips. And then lastly, it is a notice to consumer affairs to notify all their licensees that any of them are authorized to dispense narcotic drugs. They are now able to supply of Narcan. That bill number is SB 1460. So all in all, those are the primary bills that the senator is introducing this session. There are a few more, but if anybody does have any questions about them, they're always free to email me. My email is my preferred, is my name, so victor.hernandez@scn.ca.gov, or you can call our Redlands District Office at 909-335-0271. Thanks again, everyone. I hope you guys have a great evening.
Thank you for the report. Would anybody like to remove anything from the consent calendar? Hearing none. Is there a motion to move the consent?
I'll motion to move the consent items.
Second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Having a motion and a second, all those in favor of approving the consent calendar, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
None being opposed, motion passes. And then there were no matters removed from consent, so we'll move on to presentations and appointments. Nothing there. Continued new agenda items, Mr. Bartz.
Thank you, Mr. President. On November 8th, 2023, the board reviewed C&G LLC's request to extend the lease agreement for Home Field and George's Field for an additional 5 years. After review, the board consensus was for the legal counsel to draft a version of the second amendment to the lease provided by C&G LLC and to bring them back to the board. The agreement is attached along with the original, and with that, I'd like to turn it over to Steve Kennedy for further comment.
Thank you, Mr. Bartz. First, housekeeping matter. Since we have a director attending remotely, all votes should be by roll call,
Okay.
rather than just a voice vote. So, just heads up on that item. With respect to this particular item on the agenda, a draft Second Amendment was brought to the board on November 8th to extend out the lease for an additional 5-year period. Hello? Okay. For an additional 5-year period. The request from Circle Green came in on November 2nd. The requirement under the lease was that the request to extend must be 6 months prior to the expiration of the lease, which would have put that 6 months earlier than when the request came in. So by the time that the board considered the request at your November 8th meeting, under the terms of the lease, it had already expired. So for that reason, I had requested that the draft Second Amendment that had been presented by staff and prepared by Circle Green needed to be amended to apply retroactively if the board were inclined to give another 5-year extension of that lease. The board directed me to do so, and I did. And I sent it to staff on November 11th. So many things are going on with Circle Green. I think it kind of got lost in the shuffle with a lot of things that you've been dealing with. And so it's being brought back to the board now. And what you have for item 6A is the document that I prepared. What it would do would be to deem that the request that came in from Circle Green on November 2nd, the board will have deemed it timely such that the lease would be extended for another 5 years to November 7th of 2028. My recommendation would be to go ahead and approve this. We've got a number of other things that we're dealing with Circle Green on, including a matter for closed session. So my recommendation would be to go ahead and approve the document that's attached to item number 6A of the agenda materials.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Are there any questions for Mr. Kennedy or Mr. Bartz on the lease agreement? No? All right. Can we get a motion to authorize staff to execute the Second Amendment to the lease agreement with C&G Partners LLC? I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Okay. And we'll do a roll call vote. Director Phillips,
Yes.
Director Roberts,
Yes.
Director Kulyava,
Yes.
Director Snyder,
Yes.
Director Hayes, yes. All opposed, none being opposed, motion passes. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you very much.
And now we have discussion and possible action regarding approval of the professional services agreement with Lyburn Corporation to prepare the NEPA environmental assessment documents. Mr. Bartz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. CEQA has been completed on this project for the new civic complex. And as we got through the process with the federal money that was being given to the district for this, the $2 million, it came up that we need to have a NEPA done. So they've begun the NEPA process. It's very similar to the CEQA, but it's the national environmental. And Lilburn had done the environmental work for the administration center site, and they put together a proposal for this. And they said they do not believe it's going to be $48,500, that it could be substantially less, but they did want to cover all of the bases just in case. And so the staff's recommendation is to approve Lilburn Corporation to prepare the National Environmental Policy Act, the NEPA, documents for the Emergency Operations Center for the proposed Civic Center project not to exceed $48,500.
Questions for Mr. Bartz? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the professional services agreement with Liburn Corporation to prepare the NEPA documents?
I'll move the item not to exceed $48,500.
Okay, a second?
I'll second
Okay. Roll call vote, Director Phillips,
it. Aye.
Director Roberts,
Yes.
Director Kuyava,
Aye.
Director Snyder,
Yes.
and President Hayes, yes. Motion passes. We'll move on to 6C, which is an update on the proposed Civic Center and Phelan Park expansion projects. Mr. Bartz.
This will be a short update on the project. As far as the civic complex, we're looking at some things with the FEMA floodplain, and there's some questions and issues with the elevation of the pad based on the California version of FEMA versus the federal FEMA that's going to be required for this project. And we have engineers working on it. We've had several meetings, and there's a potential for the pad to have to be raised for the building. We're trying to avoid that. It's still doable, but there are a number of different options we're looking at. But at this point, I don't have enough information to give you a direction that staff is going to recommend that we go with this. And that is all I have to update.
Any questions for Mr. Bartz on that item? No. Hopefully we don't have to do too much work or change too much. That would be,
It's crazy.
yeah.
Mr. Barnes has his hand up.
Mr. Barnes, do you have a
Yeah,
question?
I'm sorry, just a clarification question. So we're talking about a pad for the Civic Center building?
That is correct.
So this is kind of an urgent, I mean, that's sort of next on the agenda to build, right?
Yes, and we've been through plan check with the county. All the grading plans and everything have been approved prior to this. And when the federal funds became involved, that it triggered some other things with the NEPA that we looked at earlier, and also a review from some unfriendly people in the process on the elevation of the pad. This whole alluvial fan in the downtown Phelan is in the floodplain. And we had addressed it at the county level, which was not an issue, but when federal funds became involved, they have a different standard that they want to make sure that it's safe from a hurricane. And we don't have any floodwaters come through there. They did let us know their experience with the hurricanes.
Good to know.
Does that answer your question,
One last-
Mr. Barnes?
One last question, would there be a delay if it, I mean, are we talking about like a 3 or 4 month delay if there's a pad that has to be added, raised?
Potentially. We don't know exactly what that looks like, but it is a substantial amount of work if we do have to raise the pad. There's some other options that they're looking at for flood proofing the building, possibly stepping the building, which again, you'd have to go back through plan check and structural and the architectural and some grading too. So we don't know the best course of action at this point, but we're definitely looking at what the cost would be to have to raise the pad, to re-engineer the site for drainage, and all of those things, and we'll bring that back for discussion with the board.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Bartz? Nope. Move on to committee reports and comments. Engineering Committee, Director Roberts.
Engineering committee met, and minutes are in the packet. We went over the projects for the CIP projects for the budget packets, and then just the system repairs and maintenance of the system. Anything else that we did?
No, that's good.
Any questions?
Thank you. And then Finance Committee, again, with Director Roberts.
Finance Committee, we went over the budget and What else did we
We
do?
had lots of fun. Yeah,
That was about it.
yeah, that was about it, yeah. And then Legislative Committee, Director Snyder.
Yeah, we're scheduled to meet next, next month. We haven't met since the last meeting.
Thank you. Parks, Recreation, and Street Lighting Committee, Director Kuyava.
We met in January, and we went over the capital plan and all of the park events for the year, and that's pretty much it.
Thank you. Waste and Recycling Committee, Director Phillips.
We met last week and went over how the rollout's continuing to go. Glad to see that things are slowly improving, and hopefully people will start separating better, and the update on the transfer station.
And we completed all the checklist.
Oh,
items
yeah, we
on-
did. All the boxes the state wanted checked have been checked.
On SB
I think that's an
1383.
awesome thing to be done.
Thank you for those reports. And we'll move on to Staff and General Managers Report, Mr. Bartz.
Well, tonight is a night where we have some good news for once on things that have happened. Over a number of years, we've been ramped down with Mojave Water Agency. We've been asking for a number of years for additional studies to be done on the water levels out here and thinking they could be outdated. Recently, Director Roberts had brought up some points, and we had some good discussions on return flows. And those return flows are water that's not consumptively used. So it's basically through the septic tanks, any water that's used in the winter goes back down, and we should be getting credit for that. We've had a couple of meetings with Mojave Water Agency with representatives, and it's coming up to where they're going to be proposing to the judge on whether to continue ramp down. Right now, we're at 50%. And eventually, we had figured, what they had said, it would be down to probably 25%. Our rate structure does reflect that, and it will be a cost to our customers if the ramp down continues. We figured in about 2 years, we would be having to start leasing water in the hundreds of acre feet per year. They've done some new studies. They modeled the basin, and they actually took into account something that we've been just pounding on for the past couple of years, which was the well levels are sustained. They're not really dropping. They might drop a little bit seasonally. Some will go up, some will go down, but it appears to be in balance. We are the only major producer in the basin right now. The next largest one would have been Hennigan Dairy, and they were producing about 900 acre feet a year. They dropped off to about 80 acre feet last year. And this year, they'll probably do nothing with the illegal grows and everything that have moved out of the area. They no longer have a business of selling to the grows. They used to have a line of water trucks there. So what is being proposed to the courts is going to be that our ramp down be held for a period of probably 5 years so further study can be done. If it remains at 50%, that will take us up to approximately 2034, 2035 before we have to start leasing water. So we would not have to enact that portion of our rate structure if we overproduce due to the ramp down. And that is about the best news that we could possibly have. I've been personally dealing with Mojave for over 25 years. And this is probably the first good news that we've had in regards to anything with ramp down. George obviously is not here tonight. He is representing the district over at the meeting at Mojave at the Water Master meeting, and making statements that we would like them to strongly have them consider leaving the ramp down at 50% for a number of years. So I have a lot of information once it's final, and I will pass them out if anybody on the board wants, but there's quite a bit of information regarding that. But it's looking good. The judge has not approved it yet. That won't be till later in the year. But this is the best start we've had in quite a while. And if there's any questions on that, I'm happy to answer those. And if not, I'm gonna.
I would just like to say thanks to you and Director Roberts for staying on this issue, because it is a huge issue for us.
It absolutely is, going way back to when we first started and bought the Meadowbrook Dairy. We bought it for the water rights and then some other big purchases. And those are still valuable because we're still living on those water rights that we did add to the system. And with that, I want to turn it over to Sean for some more good news.
Thank you, Mr. Bartz. As Don said, the good news is we're having all our fun in one night. Happy to report the meter replacement program has been completed as of about 12 o'clock today. So that means our district is fully implemented in the AMI meters, advanced metering infrastructure. We're going to have notifications going out to our customers, trying to enhance the customer engagement on the portal, helping them realize what tools those AMIs give them at their disposal for leak alerts, high bill alerts, and again, just another tool, an arrow in our quiver, and a tool at our disposal for our customers. And secondly, yesterday we received our amended operating permit. What does that mean? That means well 15 turned to the system today at about 8 a.m. So it is a permitted source, both well 15 and well 17. Well 15, in conjunction with one other well, has been the only sources of water running to our district all day. It's going to allow operations a lot of options when it comes to kind of how we manipulate the system, how we move water through the system. So we do have a ribbon cutting, I think, scheduled for early May.
I'm gonna re-poll since now you have the permit. We
Okay.
had delayed that because you weren't sure when you get the permit, so you'll be getting another email.
Okay.
Okay. But it is permitted source and it's online, so we're ready for summer.
And how many wells does that allow you to turn off at this time?
We inactivated 13 of our 14 today. That's not going to be the case all year, but operationally it allows us to shut down 6, and the others, those 6 will be used seasonally and kind of in conjunction with. Basically, it covers the heavy lifting of the whole east side of the district.
Nice.
And it did pump test a little bit higher, so some more good news. Its pump tests, or it officially came in at 806 gallons a minute. That's what it's certified at, and that's what our permit was amended for. And the specific capacity at the lower flows today, we were testing it, we're seeing it as high as 17.5 gallons a minute, or gallons per foot. So just kind of the good news keeps coming. So
Keep the good news coming.
yeah,
That's
we
probably
found
our
that
best
17
well.
specific capacity very interesting as well.
At what, 500, 600?
500.
Yeah.
We only drew down 24, 25 feet.
Yeah, that's cost energy saving.
Yes. Its efficiencies, it's right at 70% efficiency.
It's a lot better than a submersible.
Oh yeah.
Yep, we've come a long ways from, dang it, I hope we hit water. Sean was quite stressed for a period of time during the drilling, but it was successful.
That is stressful.
Good
You
job,
never
Sean.
know.
And for the guys in the field, you did a terrific job, especially with the meter change out too. Picking up halfway through on that and getting that done, it was a lot of hard work.
Thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Bartz?
Yeah, that's it.
Any other questions for
I don't
Mr.
think we
Bartz
can
and
take
Mr.
any
Ray?
more good news.
We'll see something next week.
Mr. President, I have a comment.
Okay, Mr. Snyder, Director Snyder.
Oh, awesome. No, congratulations to staff. I was out there touring the new well with our general manager a few weeks back. And I just want to highlight, staff did a lot of work out there in-house. And that's a tremendous savings to our customers when our in-house staff can put together well discharge piping and different things out there. So hats off to staff and the whole team out there for getting that accomplished.
Thank you.
Yeah, and if anybody would like a tour prior to the grand opening, the ribbon cutting on that, just let us know and we'll take you out there and let you see what they did. It's pretty impressive.
Good. Okay, without any further action on that, we will move on to director's reports. Director Phillips.
I attended the ASB CSD meeting on Monday night, and we went over, the fire chief for Chino Fire spoke, and he stated how they're going to be taking over or bringing in their own ambulance service, in addition to the other ambulance services that will be supplementing. So it'll be interesting to hear back if that maybe offers some cost saving to the patients. I forgot to ask that night, but I'm going to check back and go, hey, maybe that'd be cheaper for people. It was a rainy drive for that night, so I'm very thankful I got home safe. I hope everybody had a great week too.
Director Roberts.
Again, just like to show my appreciation for the well completion, and this is the first well that the district has put in since we broke away from the county, so it's a good feeling. Thank you.
Director Kuyava.
Nothing to report.
Director Snyder.
Nothing to report. And then a note to our customers that are watching that the EMI link that they can log on to is a very useful tool for you. It can help you with your water usage and what time and when you use your water. So it's if you could get familiar with that, that might answer a lot of questions on your water usage on your properties. That's all I had.
Thank you. And then I'd just like to say thank you for setting up the Phelan Road meeting. That was a great meeting, and getting the county involved and getting the county supervisor's office involved, and then the various staff. So that was great. Hopefully we can keep that moving forward.
That was missing.
Yep. Good job on that, Mrs. Sevi. Good job on the meters, and good job on the well, Sean. And great job on the water rights, Director Roberts and Mr. Bartz. We'll move on to item 10, which is correspondence and information. Ms. Sevi, is there any correspondence?
Just the items that are in the agenda packet. There is a flyer on how to use your smart meter in there, and that's going to continue to be in our mailers until we start seeing better utilization. And then we do have our open house for the for the Piñon Hills Fire Station, or what used to be the fire station, coming up on, that's March 23rd. And then March 9th, so just around the corner, is our cleanup and tire day. So if you have anything you need to get rid of that won't fit in your trash, you can take it there.
Are there any questions, Ms. Sevi? Nope. Thank you. And then review of action items. Were there any prior meeting action items?
There were none.
Thank you. And then current meeting action items.
I have recorded none.
Okay. And move on to item 12, setting the agenda for the next meeting. Do any board members have anything they'd like to add for the next meeting? Nope. Nope. Thank you. We will recess to closed session at 5:30.